and I think it's been a little bit of a learning curve for him there. But so far, he's continued to get better, and he's been able to stay out of trouble the last couple of weeks and get some good finishes. And really, at the point with where he's at, that's his main goal. Needs to be just to finish all the laps and see the end. And then if he's able to do that, he'll probably get a good finish.
We're talking with Josh Berry, driver at car number 88 for Junior Motorsports. He picked up the win in the race at Ace 125. Hey, Ace is Wild is this Friday night. $5,000 to win at Ace Speedway. Are you planning on making the trip for that event?
No, our next event is going to be May 18th at Motor Mile with the Cars Tour. Really, unfortunately, we've been looking around a little bit, and it doesn't seem like there's going to be much racing this weekend due to the weather. But like I said,
don't say that.
Motor Mile.
Don't say that, Josh. Oh my goodness, are we all sick of hearing weather affecting racing every weekend?
Yeah, it's definitely been really, at least in this area, the Charlotte area, the last 6-7 months. I don't think all it's done is rain.
Definitely. Josh, I know you've made some starts in the Xfinity Series and the Gander Outdoors Truck Series. Are we going to see you in any NASCAR rides this year?
No, not at this point. You never can rule out something coming up, but right now we don't have anything scheduled.
Gotcha, definitely. Well, my next question for you is this. Talk about the knowledge that Dale Earnhardt Jr., of course, a lot of people might not understand the story or know the story. And I can't stand the cliche of so many people saying that, okay, yes, I'll admit, there are some of these drivers that they're born with a silver spoon in their mouth and okay, daddy's money, grandpa's money, family's money, whatever, gets them to where they need to go to. But if you knew the story of Dale Earnhardt Jr., even though he was the Earnhardt name, Dale Sr. was strict on him, and he made him fight and claw for anything he ever had, as well as his brother Kerry and Kelly. Talk about just the relationship that you've got with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and what help he gives you along the way of being a good race car driver.
Yeah, when I first moved out here and started driving for him, obviously he was he gave me a huge opportunity to just move out here and race and not necessarily you have to worry as much about the funding right away and just kind of learn how to race and work and earn my spot. And today's day and age, those opportunities are getting fewer and farther between. I think for a lot of us. I think for me, I was very fortunate at that time to be able to find an opportunity and make the most of it. And now we've both, it's been 8 or 9 years ago now, and now we've got to know each other a lot better. And now that Dale's not racing anymore, I would say that me and his relationship together, just in how we work together to do this program, is probably better than ever, because now he's able to follow our races and watch our races, and sometimes good and sometimes bad, but he's always texting me after the races and asking, how it went or what my perspective was on it compared to his. And it just allowed us to become, even closer yet and really enjoy what we do. And, it's definitely been a lot of fun over the years. But, I think it's nice having him able to lean on now a little bit more, now that he's not racing himself.
Yeah, I was going to say that. And of course, Josh Berry joining us on the program. Josh, real quickly, what is your thoughts of where late model stock car racing is today in 2019?
I feel like late model stock racing, right now is in a good place. I feel like. I think the Cars Tour has done, and I could almost be willing to say that the Cars Tour saved the series. I feel like, unifying it and kind of bringing some stuff together and just creating a lot of excitement.
Right.
I think, to me, what they've been able to accomplish and bring together and draw so many cars and so much attention, I think they've really, their model that they've got here is about as good as it gets. I think for us, really, they have pretty much set the bar for late model racing. I think you base what you do off of what they do, schedule-wise and rules-wise. And, I would like to see, all the tracks and be able to come together and create some sort of, just get the rules closer, because I think from the outside people don't really understand how different the rules are a lot of places, and it really limits you on where you can go and what you can do. I think,
right.
Without having a huge inventory of parts and motors and shocks, and, it makes it hard to go from place to place like you could in the old days. I think, if everybody could get on the same page a little bit with that and not create more rules, but just get on the same page, and, I think then you could see the growth elsewhere. But really, from the car store point of view, I mean, really, they've just had a knock out of the park, I feel like.
And I mean this with no disrespect to NASCAR whatsoever, but do you think that the Martinsville Speedway, per se, might need to possibly look at the drawing board of maybe, I don't know, maybe like, for instance, this past weekend at Nashville, where I was at the Music City 200 with ARCA and the Super Late Model Challenge. You had the Cars Tour, you had the ARCA CRA Super Series, and you had the Southern Super Series of Super Late Model Racing, all working together, and they had almost double the car count than ARCA had. Now, I know ARCA's in their struggles. I know they're in their changing of the guard, so to speak, of what they're doing with their infrastructure, but and it's still a great ARCA show. Christian Eckes ended up winning for Venturini Motorsports. But do you think we need to see possibly the Valley Star Credit Union 300 or the Hampton Heat 200 or the Myrtle Beach 400 or the Thanksgiving Classic, these big marquee NASCAR late model shows that I always call them? Do you think that if they maybe had co-sanctioning, or if they let Cars Tour sanction the event, they could have more success with it, because they have dropped year after year after year?
It's hard to say. I think that the main issue with a lot of those races is just either the rules themselves or just the perceived rules of just not really knowing what the rules are. I think, that's been the problem with the NASCAR side of things, is that they've just really haven't, and I'm not really sure that it's their fault. I think it's just as much the track's fault in just not staying on the same page and working together. And as for those big shows, I think it would be hard to do that. I think specifically Martinsville, it would be extremely hard for NASCAR to do that, considering that basically NASCAR owns the place. But
right.
But, really the main, Martinsville just needs a little bit of change in leadership and how they roll. And they just need to utilize some people that they have in this, in the Southeast that run these shows and run these racetracks. And it doesn't necessarily have to be Cars Tour. It could be any of these. They just need to utilize some better management of people that race every week. That's what you need to get people in there that do this stuff every week and is familiar with what the rules are and the race procedures. And I think that if we could do that and just make everything simpler for everyone, then I feel like that it would be a better show.
Yeah, Josh. Ultimately, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, ultimately the thing with Martinsville is that it's Martinsville, and people are going to keep coming. So if they could just iron out the little things a little bit better, I think then you would turn it back into what it was, which was that everybody went and not half of the people or three-quarters of the people.
My question is this, if you want to answer it. If not, you don't have to. What was your thoughts of the debacle that happened at Martinsville last October?
Well, I was in the front I was the front and center of it, really.
Right.
I thought that.
Well, that's why
really,
I'm asking you.
I think lost in the translation of Martinsville last year was that we were the car that actually took the fall the first time, and when we lost the lead to Peyton on that restart,
right.
I feel like that kind of was forgotten a little bit in all of it, because really how they called the finish of the race was fair because of how they called my scenario, and I think it got lost a little bit in that. So really, as for how they called the finish, right or wrong, was how they called it prior in the race when I lost the lead.
Gotcha.
And obviously, I disagree with both calls, but that really in one thing throughout it all, they did stay consistent.
I was going to say that. I was going to say that because basically amongst all of it, even if you agreed or disagreed with the calls, at least they were, and that's everybody that I talked to. They all say the same thing. Well, at least Lynn Carroll, and I'm not throwing him under the bus here. He was the director of the race, longtime NASCAR director for the Will and All American Series. Now he only steps in for the big race every year, and that's it. And I understand what your point was of talking about bringing somebody in that follows the fold all season long, not just somebody that comes in for just one time, the big race, and I mean this with no disrespect, can sadly screw it up, because to me that's what happened. I felt like you got a short end of the deal. I felt that the Corey Heim got a short end of the deal. I even say to this day, I still believe Corey Heim should have won that race. He should have won that event, not taking anything away from the winner, who eventually got it. But I mean, it's just, but as you said, they did follow the same procedure back and forth to the book, even though it might have been disagreed on.
Yeah, I mean I agree with everything you said there, and it's really no disrespect to Lynn or anybody else there. It's just no. I mean, it's just like anything. I mean, if I raced once a year, then I probably wouldn't be as good as if I raced 50 times a year.
Right.
You know, I mean, right. I think it's just, I mean, really that's what you. I mean, it's just pretty simple. I think you just gotta get somebody that's a little bit more involved. And I mean, Lynn did a lot for the sport, did a lot for late model racing, but
definitely,
you know, he willingly retired, and I mean that's where it's at, you know.
Right. So we need to get like a Chris Riggle or a R.J. Scott or somebody like that to step in and take over the race director role. So I vote R.J. Scott or Danny Willard, race director for Martinsville. Let's do it. Let's do a ballot. Definitely. So the Cars Tour is going back to Motor Mile Speedway May the 18th. I know you've raced there before. I know you raced there before with the UARA Stars, with the UARA, the Cars Tour in the past. How excited are you to get back to Motor Mile in Radford, Virginia, formerly known as New River Valley Speedway? A lot of people don't know that, but that's what the original track was called.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to go to Motor Mile. We ran the Tours only ran there once, and we actually were able to win. So I've raced there a whole lot. You know, unfortunately, I really haven't had a whole lot of success there, but I have raced there a lot. But it's still a place that, you know, I won my first race, I won my first championship, and so it's always fun to go back there. I think I'm excited with, you know, how we've been running over the past 6 or 7 months to go back there and see where we stack up. But I have a feeling it'll definitely end up being a great show, because it just seems like especially with the tour cars and everything, he just always seems to put on a good race.
Josh Berry, my final question for you, buddy, is this, and we'll let you go. Thanks for being on the podcast. Alex Hendren joins me next. Have you ever considered doing super late model racing? Has there ever been any desire to want to run at the Rattler or the Snowball Derby or, you know, the All-American 400 or getting into super late model racing? Has Josh Berry ever contemplated or thought of it?
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely love to run some more races. I mean, it just really all comes down to just the funding part of it. You know, with what we do at JRM, there's really not been a place yet to add in a super late model to our program. I've been able to run some one-offs here or there and find a decent amount of success. But obviously, I definitely have a desire to run some more, but it just really comes down to just finding the money to do it. And we're trying, you know, we've been working a little bit, and I feel fairly optimistic, you know, maybe about potentially being able to run the Snowball Derby this year. But
wow,
really, other than that, it's just so hard to put these deals together, and there's so much that goes into them. But definitely going to try to keep putting those opportunities together here and there when we can do it.
How special will it be to drive the Snowball Derby? Do you look at that race as being bigger than what it is at Martinsville for late model stocks?
I don't know. It's hard to say, because obviously the Martinsville race, even as chaotic as it can be, you know, it is the premier race for what we do. So it obviously means a lot to you. But the Derby is the same way with the super late model racers, and so both are special for their own reasons. I think they're both each equally difficult to win, and I think that winning either one would obviously be a huge thing for a short track racer.
I think that's really cool to hear. I don't know if that's unveiling to me